Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Thomas. You're watching an ABC 10 Plus recap of the top stories on this Wednesday. We hear from the family of a Korean War veteran whose remains are finally coming home decades after he went missing. Then in dollars and cents, we're looking into why California gas prices are still so high. The ABC 10 Plus recap starts now. For more than 7 decades, a family waited for answers after a 17-year-old from Woodland went missing during one of the most deadly battles of the Korean War.
Next month, he's finally coming home. ABC 10's Luke Clary sat down with his sister, now in her 80s, as she reflects on the heartbreak, the hope, and the moment she finally got the call.
It was December 1950. One of the Korean War's most infamous battles took place at the Chosin Reservoir among the frozen mountains of North Korea. Chinese troops surrounded American forces, including 17-year-old Army Corporal Albert Estrada of Woodland. He never came home.
He was just a really good brother. He looked after us.
And for more than 70 years, his sister, Ruth Tucker, never stopped wondering what happened, never stopped praying.
Did you pray for his return?
Oh, all the time, all the time. And my mom lit a candle, a votive candle, and kept it burning for him.
Her mother got a telegram from the Army.
I almost know it by heart. And the telegram just said he was reported missing in action. And we will continue to look for him, and you will be notified.
3 years later, the Army told them Albert was presumed dead, and so began several more decades of waiting until...
Freeze it! Oh!
In 2018, a diplomatic breakthrough. North Korea returned 55 boxes of remains to the United States.
Did you believe that Albert might be among those boxes?
I did. I thought, okay, they're going to find him.
But the wait continued. Another 7 years until a call from the Department of Defense.
And what was that moment like for you?
When they called, he said, "Are you sitting down?" "Yes." "Are you alone?" "Yes." And I knew what he was going to say. He said, "I have good news for you." He said, "We have found your brother's remains and we have identified him through DNA." And I was just shaking and started crying. And he said, "We're going to bring him home." And it was just like words I never thought I'd hear.
Next month, Albert's remains will return to Woodland. His family will bury him at the cemetery next to his mother. A prayer answered, and one of America's sons finally comes home.
Mom waited and waited all those years, and thank goodness, you know. I do believe that they're together, so that helps us.
In Woodland, Luke Clary, ABC 10.
A very moving and powerful story, Luke. Thank you. Estrada's remains will be returned to his family June 13th. The burial will be held a few days later on June 18th. For years, Californians have been told new gas vehicles cannot be sold in the state by 2035. The rules allowed through waivers from the EPA, the federal agency that oversees environmental regulations. But now Congress may be overriding this landmark climate standard. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen is here to explain what is happening on Capitol Hill right now and how it could impact drivers here. Jeannie.
Well, Laura, there's a lot of confusion going around this topic right now. Republicans have actively criticized California's rule, saying it's government overreach, and they are trying to use a rare tool called the Congressional Review Act to strip California of its EPA waivers that allow this rule to go forward. Meanwhile, Democrats say using the Congressional Review Act in this way is against congressional rules. California's ambitious goals to have clean air might have to hit the brakes.
The Democrats want to ration the sales of gas-powered vehicles to live in their fantasy land of everybody driving an electric vehicle.
The state's mission is to reduce air pollution and dependence on fossil fuels. The EPA granted California waivers in the last days of the Biden administration, enabling the state to eventually ban the sale of new gas-powered vehicles. According to the California Air Resources Board, this rule would not impact used car sales, and people can still drive gas-powered cars.
Democrat mandate would punish hardworking families. Prices would be higher. They're trying to buy these regular gas-powered vehicles because there'd be fewer for sale.
The House was the first to withdraw these waivers using something called the Congressional Review Act. And now Senate Republicans are trying to do the same. It's something Senate Democrats say goes against the rules set by the nonpartisan Senate parliamentarian.
The CRA does not apply. That these are the rules. That if they want to strike down California's clean air rules, they can do so, but not in this summary fashion.
Senate Democrats argue California should keep its waivers because of the state's unique air quality challenges that are different from other states.
The air quality in West Virginia or Wyoming is different than it is in Southern California.
The Coalition for Clean Air is a nonprofit organization with a mission to improve the air quality here in this state. The organization says what lawmakers are doing in Congress right now is an attack on Californians who just want to breathe clean air.
What Congress is doing is illegally using a procedure that has been used to rescind other types of regulations.
If the U.S. Senate does withdraw these waivers, the organization believes it will be the drivers who will pay the ultimate price.
Tell our elected officials to put our health above the profits of the oil companies and the auto companies, because air pollution is killing thousands of Californians every year. And we have solutions. We just need the political will to enact those solutions.
And tonight, the Senate continues to debate this issue and could vote on it as soon as tomorrow. The California Air Resources Board released a statement tonight that says, in part, the vote in the Senate does not change CARB's authority, and CARB will continue its mission to protect the public health of Californians impacted by harmful air pollution. Governor Gavin Newsom is also weighing in. To see their full statements, it's been posted online at ABC10.com. Laura.
And Jeannie Nguyen, thank you.
We start tonight with a developing story. Listen to this. A state senator is accused of driving under the influence in a state-issued vehicle.
On Monday, Sabrina Cervantes says she was T-boned by another car at a downtown Sacramento intersection.
She went to the hospital and police say she was showing signs of intoxication.
ABC 10's Devin Truby joins us live from the Capitol right now. And Devin, you've learned Cervantes denies drinking any alcohol before the crash, right?
That's right, Laura. Senator Sabrina Cervantes told ABC 10 that she had no alcohol in her system when she was cited. However, Sacramento police say she wasn't cited for alcohol, but rather driving under the influence of drugs.
On Monday afternoon, this is where Sacramento police say State Senator Sabrina Cervantes was involved in a car accident at the intersection of 14th and S Streets in downtown Sacramento, just blocks from the state capitol. Sacramento police says the Southern California lawmaker was driving a state-issued vehicle when the crash occurred. Cervantes said she was T-boned by a large SUV. Police say a, quote, private party took her to the hospital for minor injuries, and once investigators arrived at the hospital, they noticed her displaying signs of intoxication. Police say they cited the senator for suspicion of DUI there at the hospital. But Cervantes has a different story. She says that she, quote, was accosted by police and was involuntarily detained for several hours. Police tell ABC 10, quote, after reviewing officers' body camera footage, it didn't see any indication Senator Cervantes was accosted by officers. Officers conducted a thorough investigation and remained professional and respectful throughout it. Cervantes says the lab results she obtained from the hospital show she had no alcohol in her system. However, police say she was cited for driving under the influence of drugs. It's unknown what drug or drugs she's suspected of taking. Cervantes is not the first lawmaker to get caught up in legal trouble involving driving under the influence. All assembly members and senators are given resources by the sergeant at arms.
There are employees of the Assembly and Senate who provide driving services to legislators, primarily to and from the airport, for example. Pick up and drop off when legislators fly in and out of Sacramento for legislative business, but also around Sacramento. They can utilize those services to attend events, maybe give a speech.
The Sacramento County District Attorney's Office said they're waiting on the toxicology report before deciding if they'll file charges. That could take several days or maybe even weeks. Reporting live from the Capitol, Devin Truby, ABC 10.
So still a lot of moving parts. Devin, keep us posted when you learn more information. Devin, thank you.
Well, Sacramento County deputies say a deadly stabbing in Fair Oaks could have been prevented if the suspect had not been released as part of a mental health diversion program. 25-year-old Jordan Murray was arrested on Tuesday, and investigators say he was the prime aggressor in the stabbing that left a 40-year-old man dead. ABC 10's Roxanne Elias has more.
If you guys go get that mental health assessment, I'm telling you, go get it and get your prescription and take one pill out every day and throw it down the toilet if you don't want to take it.
What you're hearing is a phone call between a Sacramento jail inmate and family members. Sacramento County Sheriff Jim Cooper posted this call and others on social media recently. Sergeant Amar Gandhi says it's a perfect example of criminals abusing the mental health diversion program that went into law in 2018.
And these inmates know the game and these arrestees know the game. And quite frankly, they're winning. They're very good at it. You'll hear me call them all kinds of names. They're not stupid. These guys are very smart. They've manipulated the system and they know exactly the loopholes.
Gandhi says people are using the program like a get-out-of-jail-free card. And the most recent arrest of Jordan Murray should be a wake-up call for everyone. Murray is accused of a deadly stabbing in Fair Oaks over the weekend and was previously released from jail in November last year under a mental health diversion. This was after being arrested for 2 felonies that same year.
It should scare the public for several reasons. Now, mental health diversion, there's only 3 crimes that are not eligible. So if murder, rape, and child sex crimes.
Gandhi says he believes the law was initially created with the best of intentions, and he knows not everyone belongs in jail because they may legitimately be suffering from mental health diseases. There are also people who may be better served in getting professional mental health care.
But the litmus test has to be the threat to public safety. If they have any threat, they should not have any consideration for this. And really, we're not doing that. Clearly, this guy committed 2 violent robberies and now is, again, 6 months later, killing somebody.
In Sacramento, Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
And the sheriff's office says defense attorneys are abusing the program. That's why they're hoping this will be a wake-up call to the public and for lawmakers who can change the laws.
Time now for Dollars and Cents. Many of you are feeling the pinch at the gas pump. Here at ABC 10, we stand for you, and viewers are writing in, asking why gas prices are still so high in California, despite recent declines across the country. I talked with an economics expert for answers. It's no secret, gas prices in California are high, much higher than the rest of the country. And many of you are noticing. Viewer Vicky Onquest wrote to me asking, why are California gas prices still so high? Some here in Lodi are over $5 per gallon. Vicky is right to ask, considering on average prices at the pump have indeed gone down across the country. That's largely because the price of crude oil has dropped by nearly 25% since January, from $80 a barrel to just under $60 in early May.
It just takes time for that to kind of translate into lower gas prices.
UC Davis economics professor Derek Stimmel says California's gas market is different from the rest of the country.
We essentially produce and burn in our cars a different kind of blend of gasoline than the rest of the country.
That blend, California reformulated gasoline, is designed to reduce emissions and improve air quality and is mandated by the California Air Resources Board. And keep in mind, there's also a switch between winter and summer gas blends across the country, with summer blends being more expensive. Stimmel adds, supply chain lags can impact changes in price.
In California's case specifically, it's a little bit more complicated because it has to come to the refineries where we produce this special blend of gasoline.
California has the largest gas taxes in the country. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, as of April 2025, California drivers pay 90 cents per gallon between local, state, and federal taxes.
It is spring, and so we're past our rainy season. And people are driving a little bit more. And as we head into the summer, they'll be driving even more. And so that demand side pressure will also kind of keep the gas price high and maybe even push it up a little bit.
And this all comes as 2 refineries are set to close. The Phillips 66 refinery in the LA area this year and the Valero refinery in Benicia by next spring. The conversation doesn't end here. You can see my Dollars and Cents stories also streaming on the free ABC10 Plus TV streaming app. Remember, your money questions have answers. Email me at lpainter@abc10.com. And speaking of driving, a lot of people are going to be hitting the road for this big holiday weekend coming up. Hopefully conditions weather-wise will please us.
I know, and I guess it determines on what you like, huh? Whether or not we're going to be happy with this forecast.
Yeah,
right?
I know a lot of people like to be by the waterways and like it just a little bit warmer, but there's kind of something for everyone in this forecast, which is nice. Maybe not the 100-degree temperatures, although I have heard some people like those 100s. Let's take it step by step here. Holiday and heat timeline. We started off with that afternoon breeze tomorrow. That's going to knock down those temperatures into our Friday forecast. And then for the holiday weekend, we are sunny and slightly above average, but it's really next week that we start tracking heat risk with highs close to 100. Our hourly weather for tonight, not much of that southwest wind, not enough to really knock down those temperatures super rapidly. That'll be more into tomorrow's forecast. Lows will fall into the mid 50s. It is that natural air conditioning overnight, opening up the windows, just kind of letting in some of that cooler air before we start to see the afternoon highs climbing back into the 80s to near 90. So for our Thursday and Friday forecast, we're kind of chipping away at some of that heat, delivering that cooling breeze on Thursday into Friday, and that's going to keep us pretty close to, if not slightly below average for our Friday forecast. But it's right after that we get into slightly warmer weather. Now, we've seen periods of warm and cool temperatures week by week here throughout the course of May. We are going to be on an upward trend next week, but for this holiday weekend, things are shaping up pretty nicely. The warmest that we've been is 94 degrees. We haven't even hit 95 yet for Sacramento Executive, the official monitoring station. And then we've been seeing 80s and 90s for the most part. But again, no 100s, no 95. We're going to turn things around, though, next week. As far as our highs for today, up and down the valley, low to mid 90s. So we're going to put that 92-degree mark up on the board there for our top 5 warmest days. 70s for the Sierra and 70s along the coast. We will see some cooling along the coast if your travel plans take you over there for the holiday weekend as well. Here's a look at our hour-by-hour forecast for tomorrow. Sunrise 5:48. We start the day off in the 50s. We warm into the 70s and 80s for the afternoon forecast. So again, a little bit cooler than today. Not seeing the widespread 90s throughout the valley as those southwest winds start to pick up. Our low pressure systems coming in from off the coast are going to pivot to the Pacific Northwest, but at least they're kind of keeping that high pressure ridge in check for the time being. But as we head towards the end of the holiday weekend into next week, not quite so fortunate, because without the access to that cooling breeze and those low pressure systems, those temperatures will shoot up quickly. Highs for tomorrow in the 60s for the Sierra, 70s and 80s throughout the foothills. Again, along the coast, we are going to see the immediate cooling. 60s tomorrow for San Francisco and inland areas. We will still see those highs in the 80s to right around 90, but not the widespread 90s like what we saw for today. Even for the Sierra, it's going to be a slightly warmer weekend forecast. Nothing too extreme, though. We'll be seeing highs in the 70s for the Sierra, and the foothills will be in the 70s to near 80s, still keeping it cool there along the coast with highs in the 60s. So again, looking at our long-range forecast, it takes us into the unofficial start of summer with some near average highs. But there it is, our first 100 of the year on the 10-day forecast.
Oh my goodness, reality is setting in. But you always remind us, even if we want to cool off in the waterways, the water is still very cold and high.
Yes, okay. Absolutely. Very dangerous right now.
Something to keep in mind, Monica. Thank you.
In the field, the communist Viet Cong rebels appear to be stronger in recent weeks.
In the weeks leading up to the end of the Vietnam War, it became very apparent that South Vietnam was on the verge of collapse.
Rumor had it that the Viet Cong were mutilating Amerasian children or killing Amerasian children.
Chaos filled the streets of Saigon, and people feared for their lives and the lives of their children.
We know that there were over 25,000 Amerasian. An Amerasian person is someone their mother was Southeast Asian, but their father was an American serviceman.
At the time, Amerasian children like Wen Friedlander were targeted by North Vietnam troops because of their mixed race appearance.
Well, so Amerasians were the children of the enemy. And there's quite a number of people who are half black, so they look African American and like really visibly don't look Vietnamese, or they may have green eyes or blonde hair. And so those people really stood out, and they were at the most risk.
In a last-ditch effort, President Gerald Ford launched a humanitarian mission called Operation Baby Lift, airlifting Amerasian children out of Vietnam.
In my case, my birth mother learned about this opportunity. She wanted to leave with me, but that was not possible. And so she had a very short amount of time to decide whether she would hand me over or not, and she did.
The first flight out of Saigon left April 4th, 1975, but 12 minutes after takeoff, there was a mechanical failure, and the plane crashed, killing 138 people, including 78 orphan babies. Despite the tragedy, there was little time to mourn the deaths.
And then following that, they immediately, the next day, flew more people out because it was they knew the war was ending and they needed to get people out.
Over the span of 4 weeks, one says Operation Baby Lift only relocated about 3,000 of the 25,000 Amerasian babies in Vietnam.
I wanted to show this to you. This is the outfit I was wearing the day that I arrived in Sacramento. And this bracelet was a bracelet that was given to me before I left Vietnam. It was to identify me. And the FCVN stands for Friends of the Children of Vietnam. And 184 is the 184th child. And what I've learned recently is that on that last flight on April 26th, there were 184 children, and I was the last child processed for that flight.
Though she was the last one on the plane out of Vietnam, it didn't take long for Wen to find a new home.
So Pamela and Dan Friedlander adopted me, and they were a local Sacramento family. And in fact, at the time, my mom was working for SMUD.
Wen says she had a wonderful family upbringing, but like many Amerasian adoptees, there were hardships and questions about identity.
You know, in terms of loss of identity, this is like really common in international adoptions, right? It's like, I was adopted by a white family, so I grew up very much with white culture and missed out on Vietnamese language and missed out on, you know, the cultural piece.
It's April 14th. Sunday. And we're on our way to Bien Hoa.
Questions about her identity were answered in 1996. Just a few years earlier, the US and Vietnam reconciled relations, and Wen was able to visit Vietnam and reunite with her birth mother. Reunions like this are extremely rare, and it may never have happened had it not been for some quick thinking by Wen's adoptive father during the adoption process.
He volunteered to curry paperwork from the California social worker to the federal social worker, and in the process of doing that, he made a copy of my birth certificate, and so I had access to that.
It's been 50 years since the fall of Saigon, and Wen is still learning about her birth family.
I eventually found my birth father as well, who was an American soldier. I didn't know this growing up, but my parents were each other's first loves, and he had tried to marry her, but couldn't.
Very few Operation Baby Lift adoptees have been able to reconnect with their birth parents like Wen has, but she's hoping to change that by working with the Australian nonprofit group Vietnam Family Search.
And so we'll be going through the Mekong Delta and bicycling about 4 hours a day, and then stopping and distributing DNA kits to birth mothers.
After months of training, Wen joined a bike ride with Vietnam Family Search. She and a group of other Amerasians biked to several different villages, feeding the hungry and spreading awareness of birth family reunification through DNA testing.
I think a lot of us were really touched, especially ones that was their first trip back, because the magistrate or the town leader, he basically was saying, we recognize you and we welcome you back to your country.
Wen says DNA tests are still being processed and distributed, but she's hopeful that this will open the door for other reunification stories like hers.
I love my adoptive family and I love my birth family, and there was times when I could contemplate what if I had stayed there versus if I'd been here, but now I'm in a position to really help my family. I've been able to send them money every year since I found them, built them a house at one point. So I think in the long run, it's benefited everyone.
Reporting on the 50th anniversary of Operation Baby Lift, I'm John Bartell.
Thanks for watching this ABC 10 Plus recap. We are here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. You can get your local news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Chris Thomas. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching ABC 10 Plus. And now that you're here, why don't we take a look around and see what else is here? The very first tile on your left is always going to be streaming 24/7. You can find us adjacent to that, breaking news if it's there. And then right next to that, a replay of the most recent newscast. Whether it's ABC 10 Morning News at 5, 6, or beyond, it's going to be there. The forecast beyond that, and then right beyond that, the news that matters the most. Now that you know the basic tiles, let's go up to the top and take a deeper dive into news. We have every single newscast that you would need, including To the Point with Alex Bell, taking a deeper dive into the issues. Beyond that, ABC 10 Morning News at 5 and 6 and 11, the evening shows as well. Below that, you can watch the top stories from To the Point. Under that, Dollars and Cents, where you can learn how to navigate this challenging economy. And below that, you can watch our award-winning ABC 10 Special Investigations, where we hold the powerful accountable. Going into weather, look, it's the 10-day forecast, getting you ready for the weekend and beyond. Beyond that, sports. I know you care about the Sacramento Kings. We have the most comprehensive guide to anything, everything Kings in the locker room and on the court. We have it. Below that, I know you care about the San Francisco 49ers. Backing out again, come up to the top and join me on Verify. I'm super excited about this. Our experts are checking the facts, verifying the truth for you. Jump up now to shows. Very excited about this. Oh, look. It's Take a Look. This is my show. I love movies, and if you love movies or streaming shows, whether it's on screens this big, or this big, it's Take a Look. Recently went behind the scenes, sat down with Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix to talk about Joker 2. I love the movie, and oh, I just heard you shout you hate the movie. Jump in, we talk about it on this show. Other shows, Bartell's Backroads, go up and down the state of California, tank of gas getaways, one fuel cell getaway, like places like the Toy Museum. This is what kids did before they had screens. Over here, the Moaning Caverns of Calaveras County, one of the most coveted caves in all of California. You know, watching this show, I discovered there's a cave that could fit the entire Statue of Liberty in your own backyard. You'll find about that and more with Bartell's Backroads. Down below that, To the Point. It is one of my favorite newscasts because they talk about news with Alex Bell the way you talk about news. It's conversational, but in-depth at the same time. Below that, Your California Life. Love this show. Whether it's entertainment, food, beverage, lifestyle, it's there. Desiree Shepherd hosts and does an amazing job. So there you have it. It's ABC 10 Plus, the app. What do you need? We heard you and we got it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for streaming.